was my only friend!
Here's another economic development idea that should be obvious, but I was looking at the City Commission report a couple weeks ago, and there was a bit in there about the Oregon Business District paying the City of Dayton for extra overtime police for events in the fall. And with the exclusion of some of the larger events, like the Final Four, where they've literally got, and like the October Boo and Brew thing, where they've literally got like thousands of people. For regular weekend nights, say like Thursday through Saturday, the city should have cops walking the beat on the street. The Oregon District Association should not have to pay for that, because that's an investment in the city. The city's saying, hey, we're going to invest these resources to make sure that this area is safe. It has the perception of safeness. And there is not a bunch of idiotic behavior going on other than people having fun.
You know, the Oregon District is the city's main entertainment district.
Yes.
Basically. I mean, there's the theater on Main, but that's a different scene. On a regular, daily basis, there's people down there.
It's
singing bands.
It's Dayton's culture hub. It's Dayton's, place. It's where people go if they want, like, a district of things.
It should be a given that there are police there.
Yes.
Anyway.
I think it would,
like,
on-foot police or bicycle police.
Right. I think, there needs to be like a visible presence. Anytime there's a visible presence of police, it reduces crime.
Yeah.
Just their being there is going to deter people from trying to do stuff. If they know, you know what, there's usually cops walking or on their bikes through the OD. I'm not going to go down there and whatever. Of course, you're going to get your drunk people, but that's why you need police readily available as well for those times when something does happen.
An out-of-control drunk won't stop fighting somebody, so you got a police to put them in the cuffs and put them in the back of the hoose cow. And
the same is true for any neighborhood, though. You could look at Santa Clara. It's like devastation over there, but there's never cops. Not never, but there's hardly ever cops over there.
They're in cars.
You see them drive by periodically, and they're always in their car. If there was regular cops walking through there... A lot of the characters are not in cars over there. That's true. They're walking around.
Bicycles.
So if you had the cops visibly around on foot or on bikes... And
business owners are going to say, hey,
area. Exactly.
They've got cops on foot now during business hours.
Yes.
I think I might want to invest over there because that is, there's been some huge problems with
shootings.
Tragic events. Business owners being shot over there. Two that I can think of off a hand. And
that seems easy.
That is economic development. That some of those economic development dollars, I noticed, the Oregon District Association was paying $11,000 something dollars for extra police.
To have the cops,
When you consider some of the thousands of dollars that go out for different projects, this money, I don't know why you can't funnel some money towards police and business districts.
And hiring more police.
And say, this is economic development. That's true economic development that a city does. Provide safe areas. Because when, there's no cops...
It's a free-for-all.
It's a total free-for-all, and everybody's got to protect themselves. And it's just, who wants that? They're going to go someplace where they've established, law and order on the streets. And
that's why you see tons of prostitutes up North Main, and tons of just freaky-looking. They look like they're drug addicts.
Anything goes.
Sorry to judge a book by its cover, but some of these people.
You can tell a mile away.
Yeah,
you don't
can tell.
It's not that you're judgmental.
Wow.
If you've been around the world a couple times, you
can tell a meth head or a crackhead. So that's why I moved off of North Main, was because I was just watching everything deteriorate around me. I was watching hookers get dropped off on the corner at Main Street right there. At the corner, the house on the corner was filled with like 12 crackheads. I was like, this is ridiculous. Yeah, at one point, you know, that was a great place to live. There's beautiful homes. Those are beautiful neighborhoods. But the lack, you know, the cutting of the police makes a huge difference. It makes a huge difference.
Well, and not only the cutting of the police, but the style of policing in Dayton is largely car-based. And, you know, they have to do that in a lot of situations to be able to cover areas with, you know...
Well, part of the problem
cities have been defunded so much. But at the same time...
people pay a lot of taxes.
Yeah.
And seems like the fire departments, police departments just continually get smaller.
Yeah, our tax bills never get smaller.
Right. They only go up. Yeah. And then we have, you know, what we talked about before with the Dayton Public Schools not having enough space. Taxpayers don't want to pay more. Seems like we should have these services because... you know, that's what the government's job is, I think, in my opinion.
Is it then, therefore, just really an issue? We've got the money, but we've prioritized it to other places.
Well, I think that's a problem in many different levels in our society and different scales of government, is that we are... the goal is to increase profits and have eternal growth. And therefore you cut and cut and cut and cut and cut. So it's in every level of our society, is that the goal is for eternal growth. And to have that eternal growth, you have to continually cut.
There's something that not one politician that I know of will address or even speak the word of, and that is infinite growth paradigm. Yeah. When your economy is based upon an infinite growth paradigm, eventually you're going to get so fat that you choke all your organs.
Well, and things get cut so much that it's almost to nothing. Our quality goes down. Our services go down. Why are they? You know, you really only hear environmentalists and like hippie types, progressives talk. Not even so much progressives talking about this growth problem. It's not being talked about at any level of government.
No, because we've got so many buildings that we don't know what to do with, and we're just building, and none of it makes any sense. And why are we here on Earth to do this? I don't know.
Yeah, to ruin everything and pollute and live like crap? I don't think so.
No.
That's not how I want to live.
No, so North Main, it's in pain. I think the county needs to get involved as well in that issue, because it is a main thoroughfare into the city. That makes, if you look at it, you've got the North Main is really buckling and kind of wobbling. East Third for years, once you get outside of downtown, has struggled. West Third, same economic struggle. And so you've got the southern end, South Main, where it's, you know, that whole UD Miami Valley area going into South Dayton. That's already taken care of. But these three like main thoroughfares are, you know, number one, when you go down them into the city, it's like, you know, it's going like kind of going through Chernobyl in a way. I mean, some of the you know, the devastation that's gone on, and so those, from a visibility standpoint,
it's awful.
You're never going to sell anybody on the city, if what they have to come down to that downtown is just like, you know, completely, it looks like it's all
just broke down
and abandoned.
You know, and part of the problem, I think, again goes into, and I think we've talked about this before, is these governmental divisions that the suburbs are. That each suburb basically is its own city,
its own fiefdom.
With Huber, Trotwood, Vandalia, Oakwood, Yada. That makes it hard, because really a lot of this issue is related to sprawl, and we've talked about that before. And the city of Dayton can't necessarily control the development that happens out of the city that draws people away from the city.
Zero control, really.
Right, and so
But a lot of it's bad for all of us.
Well, it is. And so there needs to be cooperation to help bring people back into the core. And of course, these little fiefdoms that you call them, they're not,
they're not very interested in that at all.
Exactly. Like, they're not going to be willing to do anything to help the city if it's going to, make them smaller.
Where have you been?
I was shopping.
You've been out with Reuben, haven't you? It's all over your face.
These small fiefdoms and governmental entities are by no means interested in the well-being of the greater good of communities around them, only their particular fork in the road.
Right.
And when you've got all these people fighting for their fork in the road, you end up with a lot of holes in the road, and not more roads. So Montgomery County, I don't know if I'll see it in my lifetime because of all these tiny government
and the infinite growth,
to constantly make more.
Right.
I don't think I'll see the end of this madness in my lifetime, unless the whole thing just
crashes to a halt.
Yeah, and there's people who say that will happen,
but
I don't know.
No, it'll be a slow until someone's like,
I think people are more like, shut up, Tyra Banks is on!
That's true. We're distracted. But that's been created for us, and we've been fed this system that we can consume as much as we want, and that development at any cost and profit at any cost is good. Mm-hmm. And that affects every level of our lives.
Yeah.
From city government decisions to state to federal, yada, yada.
Yes. So let's look at police on foot in business districts as an economic development investment.
We don't want Santa Clara to totally fall down.
It kind of already has.
I know, but
there are some people still doing business down there, but
I mean, literally, those buildings,
oh yeah,
they are going to fall down if
eventually
somebody doesn't pay some kind of attention to that area over there. Mm-hmm. And we can't just let those neighborhoods just die. It's too sad, and it's not fair for those people.
No, especially when there's
and they can't leave. I had the choice to leave.
Mm-hmm. A lot of people who are of lower economic means can't just up and go.
Right.
And I'm leaving the neighborhood.
Right.
When you're making minimum wage at Taco Bell and you got a couple kids, and there brings another issue. I got accused of, kind of in a passive aggressive way, by someone as not really being positive enough on this show. Mm-hmm. And you hear that a lot through different leadership circles and people in Dayton who say, we need more people to be positive. Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. And there are good things going on in Dayton.
Yeah.
And don't get me wrong, there's a lot of good people trying to do a lot of good things every day, thousands of people. But at the same time, the only people I really hear saying, why don't you say more good things and be more positive, are people who've already got it made, who are at the top of the food chain, who aren't working at Taco Bell second shift and got 2 babies to feed, and a mother whose health is declining, and I could just go through so many different type of situations, people, and it seems like the only people who say that and beg for constant cheerleading, which is really the antithesis of true love for a city or anything, is to be a good critic, at least a healthy critic, not a personal nasty critic. But the people who want to cheerlead are people who
want to maintain status quo.
Yeah, who've got things pretty good,
and they're part of the governmental organizations and nonprofit organizations that are involved in decision making about the city and
corporate leaders, yes.
And corporate leaders. So they're part of that system that we're talking about they're not going to talk about all of our issues. Really come to, not all of them, but a lot of our issues come down to this perpetual growth thing that we're talking about.
Yeah, they're not going to address any of the issues we do here.
Nobody wants to hear that in government. Nobody in business wants to hear that because they want to make profits. And of course, you're not going to hear that in government because a lot of government depends on corporate
money
donations.
Money.
And there's too much collusion of that in government, so they're not going to say no. You know, that's why we're anti-regulation and all yada yada. But nobody is going to broach that subject, and that's a really serious thing that our leaders need to start talking about at a local and federal and state level, because as we're moving into the future, this many people can see it, but not everyone can see it. That the way that we live is completely just crazy and unsustainable.
Yeah, we have. I forget, like 5% of the world's population in America. We use like 25% of the world's resources. And it may not be the exact number.
Our 25% create 25% of the pollution as well.
Yes, and so.
And that's insane.
Yeah, so if politicians aren't talking about that, you know what they are talking about?
What?
Brondo.
Yeah.
It's a thirst mutilator.
People will buy it.
Tune in. Yeah. So, anyway, you have anything else to say?
It's a big nasty system. Somebody's got to break it. Somebody's got to be brave enough, I think, to talk about it. Mm-hmm.
And there's people who have been doing that.
And it's not, it's not nice to hear.
Not in the mainstream, they're not.
It's not nice to hear.
You won't get this kind of truth in the mainstream.
It's hard.
Or even like talking this way, you know. They're always putting on a front.
Somebody's got to do it because shit's got to change.
Oh, yeah.
Baby.
Hey.
So.
Welcome to September 2012.
All
we
right.
love you all. Thank you for viewing.
Peace out. We love you.
Thanks for our sponsors.
Yes.
And that's about it.
Thanks to our viewers.
Yeah. Yes, thank you. If you have any comments, submit them below.
Thank you.
Take it easy. Peace.
And
we've got more correspondence coming to DaytonInformer.com. We've got more correspondence coming to DaytonInformer.com. Stay tuned. We'll have stories filmed by people from all over the city.
Yay.
I've done everything you've asked me to do. I can't do it anymore. Can you purify me? Will you get out of my head and into my stomach?